Basics.
It really is.
Oh, the uppercut, and he took it! Jake Paul took it!
The drama surrounding Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul has exploded into something far bigger than a simple fight announcement. What started as a shocking idea has now become a cultural collision, a moment where legacy crashes headfirst into spectacle. On one side stands a decorated Olympic gold medalist, forged in sold-out stadiums and championship pressure. On the other is a modern disruptor who understands attention, controversy, and money better than almost anyone in combat sports. This is not just a fight. It is a referendum on what boxing is becoming. Very few fighters in the history of the sport can summon 70,000 fans on command. Outside of Canelo Alvarez, that level of pull is rare. For Anthony Joshua, it has been normal. He is not simply a heavyweight boxer. He is a global brand, a commanding presence that turns events into moments. Wherever he goes, the sport follows. And now, that gravity is pointed directly at Jake Paul. The second this matchup entered the conversation, it split the boxing world in half. Some called it laughable. Others said it felt inevitable. But nobody ignored it. This is not a quiet crossover bout tucked away on an undercard. It is the most debated non-title fight in years because it forces boxing to confront uncomfortable truths about legitimacy, entertainment, and power. Joshua represents everything traditional boxing respects: pedigree, discipline, experience earned through brutal tests against elite opposition. Jake Paul represents the opposite force: confidence without permission, ambition without patience, and an uncanny ability to command global attention. Joshua walks into this fight with an aura that cannot be manufactured. Olympic gold medalist, former unified heavyweight champion, a man who has stood across the ring from knockout artists, giants, and champions. Even critics who question where he stands today admit one thing without hesitation: his experience is immense. Years at the highest level have sharpened his instincts, teaching him how to survive adversity, adjust under fire, and impose himself both physically and mentally. That wisdom is not learned quickly. It is paid for with punishment, setbacks, and survival. It is the invisible line that separates contenders from champions. Jake Paul, meanwhile, is not treating this as a joke. That is what has caught many observers off guard. The bravado is still there, but underneath it sits focus and a clear understanding of the scale of what he is attempting. He is not pretending Anthony Joshua is just another opponent. He knows this is the biggest leap imaginable, and he believes it is his moment to shock the world. Whether that belief is courageous or delusional depends on who you ask. But in combat sports, belief is never meaningless. Most breakdowns of the fight agree on one thing: the opening rounds would be dangerous chaos. Joshua's power is proven, destructive, and unforgiving. Paul's confidence and unpredictability bring volatility. On paper, the physical difference is stark. Joshua usually enters the ring around 111 kilograms. Paul is closer to 90. That gap is not cosmetic. It affects power, durability, and control when punches land clean. When heavyweights connect, consequences are severe. That reality is why many consider this not just the hardest fight of Paul's career, but the most dangerous. Critics argue the timing is wrong. They say Paul should have taken another heavyweight test, progressed gradually, earned this opportunity step by step. From a traditional boxing lens, that argument makes sense. But Jake Paul has never operated within tradition. His entire career has been built on acceleration, skipping lines, and forcing doors open rather than waiting for approval. In that context, this fight is perfectly on brand. It sparks outrage, fuels debate, and demands attention. From Joshua's perspective, the logic is brutally simple. Titles fade. Legacy does not pay forever. This fight offers massive financial reward against an opponent most believe he can defeat decisively. After years of punishing wars, setbacks, and rebuilds, the appeal is obvious. At 36, Joshua is not finished, but he is experienced enough to understand that careers are finite. When generational money appears, fighters listen. Still, discomfort hangs over the matchup. Even those who understand the business sense feel uneasy about this being a fully sanctioned fight rather than an exhibition. The distinction matters. Exhibitions imply restraint. Sanctioned bouts do not. In a real fight, instincts take over. Power is not pulled. Mistakes are punished. And that is where concern for Jake Paul becomes impossible to ignore. Anthony Joshua is not a retired legend chasing relevance. He is an active, dangerous heavyweight shaped by a decade against the best fighters in the world. That unpredictability is exactly what fuels the intrigue. Some believe Joshua's camp might urge patience, not out of fear, but caution. Others argue restraint would be unrealistic. Fighters of Joshua's caliber are trained to dominate. When the bell rings, calculation often gives way to instinct. That tension between control and violence sits at the heart of this debate. Jake Paul's perception has also shifted. What once triggered laughter now earns reluctant acknowledgement. He has faced real fighters. He has shown power. He has improved. While skepticism remains, fewer people are willing to dismiss him outright. That shift alone elevates this matchup. This is no longer just a YouTuber putting on gloves. It is a test of whether modern promotion can compress legitimacy faster than boxing's traditional systems ever allowed. Add in the streaming platforms, the promotional machine, and the growing sense that this deal is no longer hypothetical but imminent, and the picture becomes clear. This fight exists because it makes sense in today's sports economy. Attention is currency, and very few matchups generate it like this one. In the end, this fight is defined by contradiction. Logical yet absurd. Lucrative yet dangerous. Respectful of boxing's past while openly challenging its rules. Anthony Joshua stands as a gatekeeper of heavyweight reality, a reminder of what elite boxing truly looks like. Jake Paul challenges not just Joshua, but the sport's unwritten laws about how fighters earn their place. Whether this ends in a swift, brutal statement from Joshua or a moment that forces boxing to confront itself, one thing is guaranteed. People will watch. Arguments will explode. And the ripple effects will travel far beyond 8 rounds. Now the question is yours. Is this smart business or unnecessary danger? Does Jake Paul deserve credit for taking the risk, or has he finally gone too far? And what does this fight say about where boxing is heading next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more deep, story-driven breakdowns of the biggest fights and controversies in combat sports, like the video and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.